You know what you need to do. That email you keep putting off. That gym you keep driving past. That dream you keep shelving for later. You know it all. You know the steps. You know the cost. You know the reward. And yet, you still do nothing. The hours slip by like sand through open fingers. Days turn into weeks, and the task still sits there, untouched, unstarted, unforgiven. Why? Not because you are lazy, not because you are stupid, and definitely not because you are incapable. Here is the hard truth. Your problem is not motivation. It is your mindset. You have been taught a dangerous lie. One that sounds harmless but kills dreams. Goes like this. Wait until you feel ready. Wait for the motivation to strike. Wait until you are inspired. But what if the waiting never ends? What if that inspiration you keep waiting for never shows up? Because real success does not come from feeling good. It does not come from having the right mood. Comes from movement. Comes from taking action when you are tired. When you are afraid. When you do not feel like it. Success comes from discipline. People think motivation leads to action, but they have it backwards. It is action that creates motivation. The very act of doing is what builds the fire you are looking for. Imagine a man named Adam. He dreams of escaping debt, building a business, and retiring early. So he does what most do. He reads, he plans, he prepares. He watches videos. He listens to podcasts. He fills his head with strategy. But day after day, he does not move. Why? Because deep down he is waiting. Waiting to feel certain. Waiting to feel confident. Waiting to feel ready. But confidence does not come first. It is earned through motion. Action gives birth to clarity. Breaks the fog. Adam is not lazy. He is just trapped in a mindset that says, you need to feel something first. And he is not alone. History is full of people who broke this cycle. People who refused to wait. Edison. He failed 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. Do you think he waited for the right mood each morning? Ford. He entered the auto industry before the world believed in cars. He launched into chaos, not certainty. These men didn't wait for a sign. They created one. Through motion. Through boldness. Their genius wasn't talent. It was the audacity to move. You see, action does more. Makes fear small. Turns questions into answers. It turns what ifs into what's next. Because once you begin, momentum takes over. The hardest part is starting. Change feels like a that first setback is terrifying until it is over and you realize you survived. A writer once said, you can't edit a blank page. In life, life cannot improve if you do not show up. Ask any successful person. They did not begin because they felt ready. They began because they chose not to stay the same. The speaker who fumbled her first speech but kept speaking anyway. The entrepreneur who lost money on his first deal but made the next one count. The artist whose early work was ignored, but who kept creating until the world noticed. They did not wait to feel confident. They acted and confidence followed. They did not wait for motivation. They built it by doing. That is what separates dreamers from doers. 'Cause dreamers hope, doers move. So here is your moment of truth. You do not need another video, another quote, another one day. You need action. One step, one phone call, one sentence, one round. It will not be perfect. It will not be pretty, but it will be progress. And that is what builds momentum. That is what changes your life. That is what turns average people into champions. Not talent, not luck, discipline. The willingness to do what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel. So do not wait to be ready. Be willing to start while afraid, because the world does not reward the perfect. It rewards the persistent. Now go. Begin. Fear is the invisible force that paralyzes even the most capable people. Does not scream. It whispers, quietly and relentlessly. It seeps into your thoughts and infects your confidence. What if I fail? What if they laugh at me? What if I am not enough? These questions circle the mind like vultures, waiting for you to hesitate, just long enough to notice. The truth is, fear rarely catches you. Most of what we fear never actually happens, and when it does, it is never as bad as our imagination made it out to be. But fear thrives on distance. The longer you avoid action, the more terrifying it becomes. It grows in the shadows of delay. There is only one thing that weakens fear: movement, action, progress. The moment you start doing the thing you are afraid of, the fear begins to shrink. It is like a wall from a distance. It looks tall, massive, unbreakable. But as you get closer, you notice the cracks. You realize it is not made of stone. It is paper thin. Fear wants you to believe that starting will break you. But in truth, starting is what saves you. You do not need to eliminate fear before you act. You act with fear. That is courage. That is how every meaningful journey begins. Think of Edwin C. Barnes. He had nothing but a dream: to work with Thomas Edison. No money, no connections, no credentials. But he had desire, and more importantly, he had the courage to move. He got on a train, traveled across the country, stood in Edison's office and declared what he wanted. Did Edison give him a partnership on the spot? No. He gave him a job. Low level, unnoticed, almost invisible. But Barnes stayed, worked, waited, and eventually earned the opportunity he had chased. That moment of boldness, stepping into his fear instead of away from it, is what made the difference. Had he waited for certainty, we never would have known his name. You will never eliminate doubt entirely, but you do not have to. You only need to stop letting it control your decisions. Start small if you have to. One action, one conversation, one email. Each step you take makes fear a little smaller and your courage a little stronger. Avoiding fear feeds it. Facing it starves it. And each time you prove to yourself that you can act while afraid, your confidence grows. Not because fear vanished, but because you finally stopped letting it win. That is how you overcome doubt. Not by waiting to feel brave, but by doing the thing anyway, and realizing you always had it in you. Procrastination is not laziness. It is avoidance. It is fear in disguise. You do not delay because you do not care. You delay because something about that task feels heavy, uncertain, risky. It demands your effort, your focus, your vulnerability. And so you retreat. You label it as perfectionism. You convince yourself you are just not ready yet. You tell yourself you need more time, more research, a better plan. And while you wait, the clock keeps ticking. Life keeps moving. And your goals remain untouched. What you are really doing is protecting your comfort at the cost of your progress. The perfect time does not exist. There will never be a day when you wake up and everything aligns. Your mood, your schedule, your confidence, and your energy. That fantasy is a trap. If you keep waiting for the ideal moment, you will wait forever. And the longer you wait, the more the task grows in your mind. It becomes a monster made of your own hesitation. But the truth is, the task itself was never that hard. It is the avoidance that made it unbearable. Once you begin, momentum takes over. That first step feels like a burden, until it becomes the breakthrough. Try this. Give yourself 5 minutes. Does 5? Work on something for 5 uninterrupted minutes. No distractions, no excuses. More often than not, those 5 minutes turn into 20, then 30. Because action breeds momentum, and momentum makes the next step easier. That is how discipline is built, not through huge heroic efforts, but through small repeated victories. You do not need to conquer the entire mountain today. You just need to take one step up the trail, and then another, and another. That is how success sneaks up on you, quietly through consistency. Discipline is a shield against procrastination. But like any shield, you must build it. You must protect your time from the world's endless distractions, notifications, social media, noise disguised as urgency. You must break big tasks into small pieces. You must make your effort visible. Track your progress. Set deadlines that matter. Tell someone your goal so they can hold you to it. Because once others know, the stakes rise. You begin to show up, not just for yourself but for your word. That is what separates those who talk about success from those who achieve it. Discipline, movement, action even when it feels hard. Especially when it feels hard. Because the longer you wait, the louder the excuses become. But the moment you begin, you take back control. Discipline is not punishment. It is power. It is not something you suffer through. It is something you train for. Just like muscles grow through resistance, discipline grows through daily effort. Every time you show up when it is hard, every time you complete the task you wanted to avoid, every time you do what needs to be done without negotiation, that is discipline. That is strength. And that strength builds something deeper than motivation ever could. It builds self-respect. You begin to trust yourself not because of how you feel, but because of what you prove. In the beginning, discipline feels like pain. Waking up early, saying no to distractions, showing up when your body screams to rest or your mind begs for ease. Feels unnatural because you are rewiring habits. But if you push through, if you stay in the fight long enough, your brain begins to adapt. The discomfort becomes familiar. The resistance gets quieter. And one day, what once felt impossible becomes your new standard. You do not rely on willpower anymore. You rely on identity. You become the kind of person who follows through. Discipline is not dependent on mood. That is what most people get wrong. They wait to feel inspired. They wait to feel energized. But emotions are inconsistent. They change with the weather, with food, with sleep, with stress. You cannot build a powerful life on something that's unstable. But discipline, it is stable, does not ask how you feel, it asks what needs to be done. It is a decision, not a discussion. You do not wake up and ask if you feel like it. You wake up and you do it. Because winners do not need to be in the mood. They need to be in motion. The world is full of people who start. Very few finish. Why? Because the excitement wears off. The novelty fades. And when the applause stops, when no one is watching, discipline is all you have left. That is when it matters most. The days you do not feel like it. The days you feel unseen. The days it hurts. These are the days that define your future. Because talent will fail you. Passion will fade. But discipline, if you build it, will carry you. It is the difference between dreams and reality. Between a good idea and a finished product. Between wanting success and becoming it. Pain is inevitable. At some point, life will break your heart, bruise your ego, test your patience, or push you to the edge. That is not a punishment. It is part of the process. Pain is not here to destroy you. It is here to introduce you to who you really are. Most people see pain as the enemy. They run from it, numb it, bury it under distraction. But those who rise in life, they look pain in the eye and say, "Teach me." They use it. They sharpen their edge on it. Because pain, if you let it, can become the most honest, unfiltered fuel you will ever know. Every breakthrough begins with a breakdown. Every strong person was once broken, confused, and lost. But they refused to stay there. They turned loss into leverage, rejection into redirection, pain into purpose. They knew that comfort does not create change. Discomfort does. The gym hurts. Discipline hurts. Growth hurts. But so does regret. So does staying the same. So does watching your life pass by knowing you did not fight back. If pain is guaranteed either way, why not choose the kind that builds you? Think of the people who inspire you most. They are not the ones who had it easy. They are the ones who bled, who fell, who lost, and kept moving forward. They used their pain to build resilience. They turned their lowest points into their origin stories. Pain forced them to evolve, made them wiser, stronger, sharper. And that strength does not fade, says, because once you learn how to survive without comfort, nothing can stop you. You become a force, not because you avoided pain, but because you mastered it. So the next time life hits you, when you lose, when you fail, when you fall, do not ask, "Why me?" Ask, "What now?" Let the hurt shape you. Let the tears guide you. Let the silence become your strategy. Pain is not a sign you should quit. It is a signal that you are changing. You are shedding the old. You are stepping into your next level. Do not waste it. Do not numb it. Let it burn and then let it build. Because buried inside every scar is the blueprint to something greater. Your next level is not found in comfort. It is born through pain. If you do not know where you are going, you will never get there. You will wander, drift, and confuse movement for progress. The world will pull you in 1,000 directions, and without clear goals, every distraction will feel like an opportunity. But goals, real goals, cut through the noise. They give your actions purpose. They give your time meaning. They turn effort into achievement. Without goals, discipline has no direction. Motivation burns out. Time gets wasted. But with a goal, everything changes. You know why you wake up early. You know what your sacrifices are buying. You stop asking, should I? And start asking, what's next? But your goals must be clear. Vague goals lead to vague results. I want to be successful is not a goal, it is a hope. Success at what? By when? How will you measure it? Clarity is power. Be specific. Do you want to earn a promotion? Launch a business? Lose 10 pounds? Write a book? Say it. Define it. Put it on paper. Then take it further. Break it into steps. A mountain looks impossible from the base. But every summit is climbed one foothold at a time. Your job is not to leap the whole distance in a day. Your job is to take the next step with purpose. Once your goal is broken into small actions, track them. Live score. Review your progress. Every time you complete a task, mark it. See the evidence of your effort. Progress is addictive, but only when you can feel it. Make your movement visible. Use a calendar, a checklist, a tracker. Anything that turns goals into proof. And do not chase perfection. That is another trap. You do not need to get it all right. You need to keep moving. One small action every day will outperform a perfect plan that never starts. Your consistency will take you further than your ambition ever could. Celebrate the progress, even when it feels small. Those minor wins, they stack. They build belief. They remind you that you are capable, that you are doing the work, that success is just a matter of time and effort. Most people fail not because they cannot do it, but because they stop showing up. They quit too soon. But the ones who win, they act daily. They move forward, even when it is hard, even when it is slow. So define your goal. Make it clear. Break it down. Take action. Track the movement. And never stop. Because every day you work, you are one step closer to the life you chose to build. Your mind is your first battlefield. Before you ever face the world, before you lift the weight, send the email, take the risk. Your thoughts have already begun the war. And if you lose there, everything else falls apart. A weak mindset will sabotage you long before failure ever does. It will tell you you are not ready, that you are not smart enough, that the risk is too high, the work too hard, the dream too far. But the truth is, success does not start in your hands. Starts in your head. And until you master your mind, you will keep tripping over your own doubt. A strong mind does not mean you never have negative thoughts. It means you do not let those thoughts decide your future. It means you hear the fear, the uncertainty, the criticism, and you move anyway. You acknowledge the discomfort, but you do not bow to it. This is the power of mindset. Changes how you interpret struggle. A weak mind sees failure as the end. A strong mind sees it as feedback. A weak mind looks at obstacles and sees walls. A strong mind sees stairs. You are not born with this perspective. You build it brick by brick every time you refuse to quit. One of the most powerful shifts is adopting a growth mindset. That means seeing effort as a pathway to strength, not a sign of weakness. It means embracing the idea that you can get better, smarter, stronger, more resilient, with time, with work, with patience. People who grow the most are not the most talented. They are the most relentless. They do not take failure personally. They study it. They adapt. They learn. And they get back up every single time. When you see struggle as part of the process, not a punishment, your entire life changes. Feed your mind like you feed your body. If you constantly consume negativity, complainers, critics, doubt, drama, your mind will weaken. But if you surround yourself with purpose, with challenge, with books, ideas, mentors, uplifting energy, you grow stronger. Choose what enters your mental space. Be ruthless with your inputs. Stay around people who push you, not pity you. Read words that build you, not drain you. Every thought, every influence, every habit. You either train your mind to quit or train it to conquer. And when you train it well, you do not just think differently, you live differently. You become unshakable, not because life got easier, but because you got harder to break. Look around. Your environment is shaping you whether you realize it or not. The people closest to you are either pulling you forward or holding you back. They influence how you think, how you speak, how you dream, and most importantly, how you act. If you spend your time with those who complain, who blame the world, who live in excuses and doubt, then slowly, without even noticing, you begin to do the same. You absorb their habits. You inherit their standards. You begin to settle, not because you want to, but because you think that is normal. But when you surround yourself with winners, people who live with purpose, who act with urgency, who push through resistance, it changes everything. Their energy is different. Their mindset is wired for growth, not gossip. And when you spend time with them, you rise to match it. They challenge you not out of jealousy, but out of belief. They hold you to a higher standard. They do not let you make excuses. They remind you what you are capable of. And over time, their discipline becomes contagious. You start showing up differently. You move with more intention. You think bigger. This is why mentorship matters. A mentor compresses time. They have walked the path you are just beginning. They see your blind spots. They tell you the truth, even when it stings. They do not flatter you, they focus you. One conversation with the right person can do more for your growth than 100 motivational videos. You do not need everyone to believe in you. You need a few who will not let you settle. So seek them out. Learn from them. Let them challenge your thinking. Because sometimes what you need is not motivation. It is exposure to someone who is already living at the level you are aiming for. And if you are serious about your growth, let go of the toxic ties. The ones who laugh at your ambition. The ones who never clap when you win. The ones who make you feel guilty for wanting more. You do not need to hate them, but you do need to outgrow them. Energy is contagious. So ask yourself, is my circle feeding my goals or feeding my fears? Are they pushing me forward or pulling me back? Because if you walk with people who expect more of themselves, you will expect more of yourself. And that shift, that upgrade in environment, might just be the difference between who you are and who you are meant to become. Time is the most valuable currency you will ever own, and the most commonly wasted. Unlike money, you cannot earn more of it. Once a moment passes, it is gone, forever. Most people do not fail because they lack talent or resources. They fail because they never learn how to master their time. They confuse busyness with productivity. They spend hours reacting to the world, chasing low-priority tasks, scrolling endlessly, jumping from one distraction to another. And then they wonder why they feel stuck, why nothing changes, why they are always tired but never accomplished. The truth is harsh but simple. If you do not control your time, it will control you. Mastering time begins with awareness. You must track it like a detective. Where do your minutes go? What steals your focus? What drains your energy without giving anything back? Until you audit your days, you will keep bleeding time without even noticing. Once you see the patterns, you can start eliminating the waste. Say no to the unnecessary. Block distractions. Remove obligations that do not serve your purpose. Your time is your life. Guard it like it matters, 'cause it does. The calendar you ignore today is the regret you feel tomorrow. Planning is power. Do not wake up and drift into the day. Decide what matters before the chaos begins. Identify your top priorities. Focus on the one thing that moves you forward, not the 10 things that just keep you busy. Use time blocks. Create sacred hours where deep work happens. No calls, no social media, no interruptions. Even one focused hour a day can change your life in a year. Do not aim to do more. Aim to do what matters most. Productivity is not about working harder. It is about working smarter. It is about purpose over noise. Your future is being written by your daily routine. What you do today echoes into the months and years ahead. So set deadlines and honor them. Break big goals into daily actions. And when it is time to work, work. No negotiation. No delay. Treat your schedule like a contract with your future self. Because every wasted hour is a dream delayed. But every focused hour is a seed planted. You do not need more time. You need more intention. When you master your time, you master your life. And when you learn to say, "This moment is mine," that is when everything changes. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is the process that forges it. Every person who has ever achieved anything meaningful has also failed. Sometimes publicly, sometimes painfully, but always repeatedly. Yet most people spend their lives trying to avoid failure as if it were fatal. They see it as shame, as proof they were not good enough. But failure is not shame. It is feedback. It is information. It is the world showing you what does not work so you can find what does. The difference between the person who wins and the one who watches is not the absence of failure. It is the refusal to stop after it. Think about the child who learns to walk. They fall 1,000 times before they take their first step. But they never think, "Maybe walking just isn't for me." They keep going. Because they have not learned to fear falling yet. That fear is taught, conditioned, and it is wrong. Somewhere along the way we began to believe that mistakes define us. That setbacks should slow us. That failing means we are not worthy. But the truth is, every failure you survive makes you stronger. Every mistake is a lesson, a refinement, a sharpening of your edge. Fail enough and you stop fearing it. You start using it. The greatest minds, the most iconic names in history, every one of them failed. Oprah was told she was unfit for television. Edison failed thousands of times before lighting a single bulb. J.K. Rowling was rejected by a dozen publishers. They all had one thing in common. They did not quit. When the door closed, they knocked again. And when it locked, they kicked it down. They understood that failure was never the end. Only a bend in the road. Their scars became their strength. Their setbacks became their stories. And that persistence is what separated them from the rest. So do not hide your failures. Embrace them. Study them. Let them teach you. If you failed today, it means you tried. And trying, showing up, risking something, caring enough to act, that puts you ahead of everyone who stayed silent. You will fail. That is not a question. But what you do after that failure, that decides your story. Do not aim to be flawless. Aim to be unbreakable. Let failure fuel your fire. Let it humble you, sharpen you, shape you. Because when you stop fearing failure, you start chasing growth. And that is the moment you become unstoppable. Not when you get everything right, but when nothing can make you quit.